think of Southern and Jewish, I think of my dad, Rabbi Micah Greenstein's introduction when he says to the crowd, "Shalom, y'all."
My Southern Jewish mother would serve fried chicken and cornbread on the night before Seder, and the next night serve matzo soup and brisket.
My family immigrated to the United States at the end of the 19th century during the times of the pogroms.
My family immigrated from Lithuania in the late 1800s and settled in Anguilla, Mississippi. They came seeking freedom and opportunity with a strong work ethic.
The story of Southern Jews is one shared by many groups. Woven together, they help tell the American story. It's one of risk-taking, of hard-earned acceptance, and in the process, the struggle to keep one's heritage intact. The Southern Jewish experience begins in the earliest American colonies, when Jews came from Europe, escaping persecution and violence that lasted for centuries. They were drawn by a promise of being treated as equals, of belonging to this radical experiment called America.
May the children of the stock of Abraham who dwell in this land continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants. President George Washington.
It was a promise not easily won. For Jews that settled in the American South, it was a step into the unknown. In northern American cities, Jewish immigrants tended to congregate in tight-knit communities, surrounded by the familiar. But in the South, there were far fewer Jewish people. In the cities, their communities remained small. And in rural areas, they might be the only Jewish family in town. To live here, they had to integrate into the predominantly Christian communities.
My wife was a cheerleader, and her brother Ben was on the football team. Yom Kippur fell on a Friday night that particular year, so their father informed the school that they would be in temple instead of on the football field. It didn't take long for the administration to have the game moved to Thursday. That, my friends, is truly Jewish life in the South.
Jews in the South took on a range of professions, from school teachers to cattle ranchers. For many families, the first step was a business, relying on customers who were usually of a different background. Over time, these businesses became vital parts of their towns and communities, and an entryway into the fabric of Southern life. Jewish Southerners served as social leaders and elected representatives, contributing to the backbone of civic life as activists, sheriffs, mayors, judges, and senators. The Jewish values of religious observance, family, and community were shared by their neighbors here in America's Bible Belt.
My mom comes from an old family in South Carolina. The family patriarch, Myron Moses, served in the American Revolution and spent much of his money helping wounded Revolutionary War prisoners.
My family settled in central Alabama starting in the early 1800s, so my mother's family was there through the Civil War and everything in between.
were a part of Southern history, for better and for worse. Jewish Americans have fallen into the darkness of intolerance and prejudice, even as they too sometimes felt the sting of anti-Semitism and their own tentative acceptance. But often, they drew upon their Jewish values to show a path towards greater inclusion, a process that continues to this day.
What do I see that is shared between my Southern identity and my Jewish identity? It's really got to be about family and community.
There's a sense of family and hospitality, and certainly we'll all admit there's a fixation on food.
I'd say you know you're Southern Jewish when you go to Goldberg's Deli in Atlanta for lots of bagels and a side of grits.
We Southerners are all about gathering and hosting, sharing, celebrating literally every opportunity we can.
The sense of being connected to land and people, to neighbors of lots of different faiths and backgrounds. The land is a part of me, just as my Jewish heritage is a part of me.
The Southern Jewish experience is a uniquely American story, one that has played out across different regions, amongst different groups, since our founding and to this day. We invite you to experience our story and reflect upon your own. Shalom. Make yourself at home.